Today is Friday, March 13th. My name is Valerie Cazares, and I'm here doing an interview with Timothy Lianoz, author of The Collective Shroud, available on Amazon, just recently published. Hello, Tim.
Hello,
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Good
Good.
morning.
Morning.
Okay, so let's start this interview. Can you start by telling us a little bit about who you are as a person?
Sure. Um, I think to define me or who I am, I think the key elements are, I'm a Christian, I'm a father of four, and a devoted spouse, amongst many things. My career-wise, I'm also a safety professional. I work for a corporate company that owns many different manufacturing and construction sites that I work for and visit for. So that's a little bit about myself.
Okay, you said you had a family. How many kids do you have?
I have three, three boys and a daughter.
Okay,
A little interesting fact: they all start with their names start with Z. So Zane, Zadora, Zebediah, and Zeppelin.
that's awesome. Love it. All right. So, the purpose of this interview, we're going to talk about your book, The Collective Shroud. Let's go ahead and start talking about that. Can you tell us what overall, like for someone who hasn't even looked at the what it's about, like how would you sum up what your book is?
Sure. I think at its essence, it's a novel. It's a political thriller novel that critiques societal illusions that blind individuals to their potential and to illustrate how collectivist policies undermine freedom and personal sovereignty and also prosperity.
Would you say that someone has to be into politics to be interested in what your book is about?
No, I don't think so. I think that it is, um, I think you get to know characters and uh, see their journey throughout the book. So I think that we explore different ideas. And I don't think that you have to have a deep understanding of politics or economics to understand the book, but you will come out knowing more.
Okay. All right. All right. So you already told us what the book is mainly about, the main theme. What would you say the main theme is?
I think the core themes revolve around individual liberty versus collectivism, the perils of statism and fiat currency, the erosion of personal sovereignty under unchecked government power. But it also, I think, advances like more personal themes like personal growth, breaking from the past, or a leader you respect, or a family member that has been important in your life, as well as understanding and exploring, ideas. And then also there's a love element through the book. So I think that it could reach in a lot of people. I think that the cast, as far as who would be interested in, is broad. So I
Okay.
think that was the intent.
So you said individualism versus collectivism, right?
Mhm.
Can you describe what collectivism is for the audience, please?
Sure, I think that at least from the book perspective, we capture individualism and collectivism as individualism as being part of a capitalism society, and then collectivism as part of being a different a collectivist society such as socialism, communism, and other variants of that. Essentially, individualism is that the society, like the individual, is I think like paramount, and within a society, like the individual should come first, and collectivism is more defined as that the individual should be sacrificed for the greater good of society.
Okay. All right, that was a better breakdown. For those that need dictionaries when they read, such as myself, is your book available like on Kindle?
It is. It's available on Kindle.
Okay.
It's a hard copy and paperback on Amazon, and then yeah, I'm actually in production of the audiobook right now, so that'll be coming out probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Nice, nice. Okay. Love that. All right. What inspired you to write this book? Like at what moment did you decide like I think I'm gonna write a book?
It's interesting. There was a particular moment that sparked the idea. I was actually watching a Lex Friedman podcast. I typically listen to podcasts while I'm at work or just in general on my free time, like to explore ideas. And Lex Friedman is one of those podcasts that I typically go to because he asks some good questions and has some interesting people on his podcast. He had a specific professor, author on there early last year. I believe it was January. And her name was Jennifer Burns. And it was the first time that I've ever heard of her. But she was on her podcast, and the reason why I clicked on that one to listen to was that she's written a book about Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand, and Ayn Rand is a huge influence on me and even in this book that I wrote. So that's kind of how I started listening to that podcast. Anyways, towards the end of the podcast, she stated something like she was talking about how she wasn't talking about Milton Friedman or Ayn Rand. She was talking about a different person, different author, and how the author's father thought he was a weird and even wrote a poem about him, calling him an alien. Like he was just very weird, right? So she goes on to say that that these are like especially about Ayn Rand and Milton Friedman that they're ultimately just people, people with ideas that they spend enough time polishing up and developing that people like we still want to read 100 years later, and that was the moment where like it sparked me. Like this is like these topics, individualism, collectivism, socialism, capitalism, just society in general. It's something I think about a lot. So like that kind of really resonated with me, and you know, and then I also think about too, like the perils of strong central government, fiat currency, sound money, and then the gold standard. So like I thought, why not me? Why shouldn't I express my ideas and polish them and put them into a book, several books? So that was initial thought. So that's how it kind of sparked. And as stated previously, I am a father of four of young children. Um, I work a full-time corporate job that I travel a lot to. I'm traveling like 3 or 4 weeks a month, almost every week a month. So it wasn't something like, okay, I got that idea and I'm gonna go out and write a book. That wasn't the case. I thought about it, and once the idea came in, I was like, do I really want to write a book? Do I really want to put the effort into putting this out there? Um, and the idea wouldn't go away for like 2 weeks. It was just like write a book, about the topics, and it was just like in my head. It was like dominating my thoughts. So I'm a man of faith. So I prayed on it like for a couple more weeks, and the thought wouldn't go away. So I took it as God saying yes, and I started writing the book.
Did you feel like relieved, like that you got so much like information off your chest after you wrote it?
Um, no, not really. I felt like I did. Well, not relieved that I got so much off my chest. I felt like building the story, helped me to explore more ideas, and then also like I wouldn't say relieved. I would say I feel like there wasn't enough that I put in this book. I think it's going to be turned to maybe a 3 book series, where I'm going to explore and develop these characters and the ideas a little bit more broadly. Like I didn't want it to be like a huge book where it's just like you're gonna look at it and it's gonna be daunting to complete. So I figure, hey, we could start it off with the beginning part of their journey, and that's where we're at with this one.
So the Collective Shroud, this book right here that you wrote, there's gonna be a sequel. Is that what you're thinking?
I think so. I think there's probably going to be, uh, I'd say at a minimum two, probably three or four. I think that I'm going to develop the story a little bit further. But I think there's still a lot to cover, and I still think that the characters, their journey is not written um, completely, and I think that I could explore more ideas. I feel like this is a good way of an introduction to some of the ideas and the people that I want to introduce the readers to.
Okay, interesting. All right. Why do you think that this story is important to people that are going to read it? I know you did talk about like already what the book is about collectivism and individualism, but as society, why is it important for them to choose your book when there's so many things for them to distract them, like reading other things?
Hmm. So um, when you asked me to do this interview, I went back to look at that Lex Friedman and Jennifer Burns podcast interview, um, and so I could get the quote right about what sparked the idea. So when I was doing that, right after that, she goes on to say, um, it's really hard to have an original thought. We are social creatures. We encounter the same situations again and again. And so it's really hard. You're born into these traditions of thinking and being and knowing, and most people are never going to question them. And most people are never going to become aware of them. She goes on to say, let's become aware. Let's realize that you're carrying a map that's orienting you to the world in a certain way. So I think that is kind of what I'm doing here, right? With this book, I think that we're taking a step back and looking at ideas. I think, especially growing up in California, being there, like it's easy to get into kind of a group think or having values passed down generationally and never really understanding where those values came from or where that where those ideas actually stem from. Also, in a society, going through the schools, you guys are getting the same education. It's easy to become in a bubble and think that your way is right and there's certain truths. So as I started to learn and started to become aware of Austrian economics, classical liberalism, Mises, F.A. Hayek, I started to see a different perspective of things, and I wanted to share those with people. I don't think that, like, just for a question for you, like, have you heard of Mises or Hayek outside of discussions that we've had?
I have not. I have not
See,
actually.
and so that's crazy to me, and most people don't. And I think if you ask a group of your peers, out of 100, maybe one will say yes. And that's crazy to me because Mises is such a great thinker in the 20th century. To me, it's like after understanding who he was and his thoughts, it's like people not hearing of Einstein. Like he is a prominent thinker of the 20th century, but he took a stance against education. He took a stance against socialism, which is a growing theme. So like he's not put out there in colleges and just in broader society. And to me, it's just like if you really understand what he was thinking, the Austrian economists such as Mises and Hayek and many others, to me, from a socioeconomic perspective, they're as close to getting it right to the truth as anyone. And the fact that we're colleges, even you in a social program, are not studying his ideas. He completely refuted socialism and collectivism more broadly in a book he published, I know, going on 80 years ago. But no one reads that book. He has a book called Socialism where he totally refutes it. But to me, it's just crazy that we don't hear that, and that was one of my goals of this book, was to not only express his ideas but to introduce people to him. So people may Google who was Mises or what was Mises standing for, and I think that that's something I think that people could take readers, um, and really just I don't expect them to take my word or Mises' word for gospel, but at least it'll question you know their ideas and where exactly they stem from.
Okay. So I've actually read the first few pages of your book, and I've seen that there is a quote by what is it, Ludwig von Mises? Yes,
Yes,
the man
that's
you're currently talking
well,
about right
well,
now.
yes,
Um, and my question is for you is he a prominent factor in the book throughout the book? Is he something that is used as a guide throughout the book, or how did he impact the writing and the story?
sure. I mean, yes. Throughout, I don't typically call him out. I will like reference him here in the book, but his book Socialism, Human Action. His books are, from me having studied Austrian economics for a while and reading him, they're woven throughout the book. So yes, ideas that stem from him, definitely. So, especially individual liberty and the perils of collectivism and state control.
Okay. And for me, I'm a social work major and I have not taken any business classes, and I don't need it for my graduation requirement. Did you come across him in any of your classes for your degree, or how did you stumble upon his work?
No, he's not taught. Like I said, completely Austrian economics completely refuted socialism and through society. And now we're on our path to that way, especially in the U.S. since the late 1900s. So the collectivist thoughts he's not taught. So if you're looking at economics right now, they kind of the canon is Keynesian economics, which we could go on to talk about Keynes, but I think it's more talking about Keynes is an interventionist, so he thinks that the state should get involved, give more power when there's economic, downturns. F.A. Hayek lived in the same time as Keynes when he wrote this, and completely refuted him as well. And F.A. Hayek was a student of Mises and Austrian economic, um, individual himself. So no, it's not in the canon of the educational system. So um, no, I got a ton of Keynes gospel basically when I started to take courses in economics.
Okay.
But again, too, like my major was I'm a safety professional, so I took courses on it, but most of my education has come from self-education. Me reading just a ton of books, and kind of distilling them and interpreting them in my own way, and to see and interpret what I see as truth. So
Okay. All right. And back to Mises. You said he's a very strong advocate for refuting socialism. Would you say that those who are are more would you say it's controversial book for people that believe in that are on the fence with collectivism and capitalism? Like, would you say it's a
I think
controversial
that
book?
the one I wrote, or Mises in general,
Your book, The Collective Shroud.
uh, I I don't think so. Maybe it all depends on who you are. But my goal was to have people either understand, explore different ideas, and question. So um, yeah, I would say it could be. It all depends. I can't tell who would interpret it as controversial or who's going to get offended by it or whatnot. But just
Mhm.
for example, Ethan was the protagonist of the story. He starts very left, right? Um, he is a nephew of a senator who is a um, leftist leader, and he's very indoctrinated until his uncle, and then the story kind of progresses where he starts to explore and question his own belief and his ideas. So you kind of um, walk kind of the story you walk through someone's eyes who starts off with a left perspective and starts to really lean towards individual freedom and liberty.
Okay. Yeah, sounds interesting. Um, all right. So, what was the most challenging part about writing this book?
I don't think anything was typically challenging. I think that kind of my my life, how I approach many things, I think is I made a decision and I just went out there and built it, got it done. Um, I think it's kind of a broader approach to my life. I think that what people may see hard, which I don't really think that it was hard for me to do when I was doing it, but it was, I was have to leave to the office at 6:30 a.m. So I was up at 4 a.m. writing until I had to leave, get ready for work, at 6. So I'd get a couple hours in there. Then, writing while I was traveling, in the airplanes, airports, hotel rooms. So I think that, being a full time, employee, being a father of four and a present dad, that I think, just getting in that the writing time and jotting down ideas. So I my right like for me, I had to write down ideas whenever they came, or else I would forget them because my days just get so busy. So it was most of the time was before I was going to bed. Like laying down in bed, I would get ideas. I had to get up, write them down, or else I forget them. Waking up in the middle of the night in the hotel room, like most of like in my writings, I have like a bunch of little pamphlets, like little notes they give you from in the hotel room. So like jot down ideas. I've woken up so many times in the
Mhm.
hotel room, like all my collected ideas are on a little square sheets of a hotel paper that I would just woke up and wrote down. Also, like I think that when I was I would just sounds funny, but a lot of times when I was doing dishes, like I would like just think about the story and ideas would come. So I had to stop doing dishes, write down something real quick on paper, and then go back to doing the dishes. So um, and that's kind of, I wouldn't say challenging, but that's kind of like I just had to get it in when I could and getting these ideas out.
That's cool. Just random ideas popping in your head, like get them out. That reminds me of like a dream
Yeah,
journal. You got to keep it right next to you because later on you'll forget it. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And it was like it was always like the scene I was working on, or I'd have an idea, like or struggling with something, I'd be just constantly thinking about it, and then you know because it was on my mind, I would just get these random inspirations on how to figure out that scene or that character or advance that core theme, and I had to get it down or else I forget it.
I like how you said that it wasn't challenging, and then you proceed to tell me something extremely challenging for most people.
Yeah,
Like that takes a lot
yeah.
of
If
discipline.
yeah, I guess it would seem challenging, but to me, when I was in it, it didn't seem really challenging. I think that a lot of my life, I've kind of just, especially recently in the last decade or so, I've kind of just done hard things, and um, I just did them. Like to me, I wouldn't say it was a challenge. I was just put my mind to it and got it done. I think that from the outside it looks challenging, but when I'm in it and I'm just creating.
That's beautiful. I love that. All right. We are we have to wrap up this interview, but I have so many more questions. Um,
Well, we could do a part two later on.
yes, there is going to be another interview in the future, and I'm going to ask you more questions regarding the characters and the storyline, the plot. But for now, I'm gonna pick a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. Um,
Okay.
how long has the book been out for sale in the market?
Um, in December around Christmas time.
And have you had any what like any reactions from any of the readers so far?
Yeah, I actually had a few people reach out, which is nice. I really enjoy that when people actually have good things to say, like, "Well, this is so relevant to today's world," or talk about a certain thing. So yeah, it always makes me happy. Or even like random people like that to buy my book to ask for a signed copy, and for me, I have to pay a little bit more for shipping. So like they're willing to pay the extra cost to have me to sign get them a signed book. And it's always like the randomest people that will do it that that I haven't talked to in quite some time. So that it's rewarding in that
Yeah,
aspect.
that's nice. That's cool. All right. Okay, so I have to conclude. I know you already said you're writing a sequel and we should be on the lookout for more books. And do you have like a
Yep.
time frame? Like how long did it take you to write this book? How long do you anticipate the next book will take?
I think the next book I will take a little bit more time to write. I'll make sure that um, I say everything that I want to say, and I advance the plot as much as possible and develop the characters more. I think that this first book, I was if I didn't do it right away, I was probably gonna linger on it and like self doubt kind of leaks in. Like, do I really want to be an author? Who's gonna all those nagging questions of like who's gonna buy it, who's gonna read it, who do I think I am to be an author kind of thing. Like to me, the idea came and I was like I had to do it right away. Um, and the first draft of the Collective Shroud, I probably finished um, in 30 days, 30 to 45 days, because I was just going at it. It was probably like, I don't know, 80,000 words or something like that. Um, but then it was like skiing downhill, I guess. Like there was a bunch of gaps in the story. So I had to go back and revise it and add more. And I probably, there were so many revisions and so many times I had to go through the whole draft. But the entire thing took me like from original idea. Like I actually committed to writing the book on April 1st, and then it was published on Christmas. So the entire thing was less than 9 months because it just kind of consumed me.
How many times do you think you've reread your whole book?
I don't know. I,
A
I
lot,
can probably count on both hands. Yeah, a lot.
I
I'm still
bet.
rereading it. That's why I want to take more time with the second one. I feel like I could have developed certain areas or certain characters or um, added a little bit more to the book. Yeah, I think I could have did a little bit more, especially like line by line. Like I'm reading through it, I was like, I should have said this a little differently, or maybe I used this word a little bit too much. I think that I was just trying to go from idea to publication, and was just in the midst of it. That's all I was focused on. Was like, how do I finish the story and get it out? Um, because I didn't want to linger on it too much because I didn't I was if I would have took my time, I think I would have um, kind of I don't know how to say it, but I probably would have chickened out on on doing it. It's something, and I didn't want to tell anybody too. I think that's another thing. I think I would have included a lot more people going in on this first book, and I probably will on the second book. Is having those conversations with other people on kind of character development and story plot. I was just in a silo, getting this out. I think that the experience could have been a little bit. I could have taken in a little bit more of the experience.
Did you not include anyone? It was just you kept to
No,
yourself
not
completely?
really. Yeah,
Okay. It would
yeah,
probably be, you would think it'd be a little different, the process, if you did include someone else, someone to shoot
maybe.
ideas with.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. Yeah, definitely let us know.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you for taking the time today to join me and do this interview. I look forward to reading your book.
perfect. Thank you. Yeah, finish it up, and we'll talk about characters and plot later. And you could give me your reaction to it
Yeah,
from somebody that's in a social program. which I go pretty ham on.
I don't think it's going to be an interview. It's going to be a debate.
Well, you better
Huh.
become prepared because I will be.
All right. That's too much pressure, but we'll see.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
at least Google Mises and start learning about what he has to say.
Okay.
Or you could also follow me on social media on Instagram at Collective Shroud. I'm doing a weekly thing, Monday Mises. So I take a quote and expand those ideas on like a little 2-minute video each Monday.
Are you proactive on social media with your book?
Mostly Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube is at Mises Mindset, where I'm putting on videos utilizing Clara, who is main character in the book. So she's a very sharp-minded lady in the book, and I use her on my social medias to kind of explore ideas and put some stuff out there.
Okay. I'll look into it. Thank you, Tim. You have a
All right,
wonderful evening or the rest of your day. What time is it over there where you live?
it's about to be noon, so
Oh, well, have the
enjoy the rest of your morning and day.
yeah, it's still early. I don't know. I thought it was late. Okay.
All right, bye.